Hey guys, so I brought you guys in here real quick because we have something very important to do. As you can see, nobody else is on item. That is very rare. There's usually at least one or two people on. So while we have a server to ourselves, we gotta do something. We gotta prank them some sort of way. I'm gonna be doing my job if I did. So obviously it needs to be a harmless prank. There's no griefing or anything. So I'm trying to think of something that I can do that'll just confuse them. I really want them to be scratching their heads. Of course, we could just do something like plant a tree in their house, something like that. But I want to do things. I want to do something a little bit more confusing than that. I think we can. I think we can. And yes, I was right around that. So let's go figure out something that we can do to just troll with their mood just a little bit. I mispronounced it one time. Birds the birch. Place the birch. Confusion. Well, I think that went extraordinarily well. Good enough. So, welcome to today's episode, everybody. Today we're going to be building a villager hall and a house on stream. The house is not going to be featured in the YouTube video. Right here you can see me putting together the bottom portion of it. But we're actually going to be putting this together on stream, so you guys aren't really going to get to see the finished product. However, villager trading hall is the main thing for this episode. As you saw, we just chopped up a bunch of trees so we could get some sticks and get some pretty good emeralds, because we really nearly need some good villagers. I don't want to be laughed at. Iron arm ready. Here we are digging a hole. Now here we are in our finished hole, just getting ready to put in the rest of the torches and get the modules up. We already got the breeder up actually, so I'll show you guys that in a second. Breeder over there. So now we just need to actually start moving villagers. Okay, so we got most of the railroad tracks set up. As you can see, they're pretty much going to go through the breeder, and then they are going to cut through, and we actually need to prepare to get the villagers into the breeder, which is why it's wrapping through that little maintenance tunnel for a second. But yes, get stuck in water, that's always a good idea. But yeah, so pretty much all that this is going to require is us to move villagers via railroads to their specified little kind of stalls. If you guys can kind of see that in the corner there, I'd already put up one of the many. And the first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to get my mending villager up there. This is going to be, I thought, the most complicated, but it actually turned out being one of the easiest to do. It was it listened pretty well for the most part. So the hardest thing about him was getting him into the minecart, because it's the thing about villagers, especially when you're first trying to trade with them, you do not want to hit them. That's the last thing you want to do, because they're such a pain, and hitboxes don't show up with shaders. So it's so normally one really cool thing you can do, at least on Java Edition, I don't know about that on Java Edition, you can actually press F3 and B at the same time to show the hitbox of something, so you don't hit the villager, but it doesn't work with my shaders. So I wasn't able to do that. Now this is just going to be smooth sailing. Now that he's in the minecart, we just got to push him down, and he's going to just fall down those rails. Unfortunately, it was a little laggy, so you see those little lag spikes in there. And I'm not sure what actually happened right there. I think he actually pathfinded his way to one of the lecterns I had on the side of the wall, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the mending villager. So as you can see here, we now have our mending villager all set up, and he's got that trapdoor ahead of him just so he can't leave, just in case I do have to ever move that lectern. And if you just saw right there, when I actually pressed my inventory screen, you can actually see my hitbox, because my hitboxes were supposed to be showing, but like I said earlier, they don't work with the shaders. So you could only see them in the menu screen. Anyway, so now it's time to get the rest of them down here. And this is going to be the annoying part, because I need to get them into that breeder there. And I need to get all 4 of them there without hitting any of them. and not only not hitting any of them, but also getting them to the proper spots, because we did have a Fletcher already, and we needed to get that Fletcher into a stall right next to the librarian. That way, we wouldn't be leaving him in the breeder, and we still had a steady source of emeralds that we could use to lock in any good trades we find, because we're going to be rolling for a few villagers here. And that's pretty much one of the things about getting villagers is you got to roll for the trades. If you've never worked with villagers before, um, especially with librarians, you have a chance of getting any of the enchantments every time a villager spawns in as a librarian. So essentially, if you like, let's say I want to get mending, all I got to do is I got to press, or I gotta break the lectern over and over again until that villager has the mending trait, and then easily enough, I have mending. So it's a pretty simple process. Time to get back to moving these main villagers here. I wasn't actually completely sure how I was gonna do this yet. This was gonna be a pain. I already knew that, and moving villagers always is. But luckily, we had the entire building pretty much villager proofed. They weren't going to be able to escape out of any of the exits. The only direction they were going to be able to go is down. And honestly, since that's where I wanted them anyway, at the time I was thinking there wasn't going to be any issues with that. Although, of course, because it's villagers, there did end up being issues with it. But I think I actually ended up hitting one of them on accident. The whole thing was just a mess. Anyway, let's just fast forward to getting us down there. I decided to just decided to try and use this as an example of just how hard and annoying villagers can be. This guy just did not want to get in this minecart. I had chased him from all the way from the breeder over there, where the Fletcher currently is, all the way to where he is currently. And honestly, I was trying to decide whether or not I just wanted to leave this guy out there, but I was like, you know what? No. Let's get another villager. He was not listening no matter what I did. And right here, as you can see again, they don't want to get in the minecart. It's funny because they want to get in the minecart anytime it's not, they aren't supposed to, but when they are supposed to, they don't want to do it. And yes, I did just lose a minecart there. I had to chase it down. We don't talk about that, all right? But yeah, so pretty much the only surefire way is, as you just saw, you have to kind of hit the villager like while they're on the rails. If it goes through them, they're gonna get in there. And as you can see, I was really struggling with this point. There were random holes in the ground I was falling down. I had a fifth villager. I don't even know who had breeded my villagers, but I just had a fifth villager that I didn't even make myself. I was confused, but it was another villager to work with, so it's whatever. But yeah, so I was just trying to get these guys down here, honestly. Um, Once they're on the rail cart, like on the railroad, it actually goes a lot easier. And as you can see, that guy that we were just chasing down just became a mason just because he felt like it. So it was actually easier to track him down once he had technically a trade. But this is where a hitbox would come in handy. However, another really safe place if you can't use hitboxes like me is aim for the wheels. The one spot on the wheels tends to be a pretty good spot. I'm always wary of using an axe, but if I can't break it with my hand, I will just grab an axe. But now was the perfect time to get the villagers because it was nighttime. So as soon as they popped out of that minecart, they were gonna hop into a bed. So I didn't have to worry about swinging an extra time and hitting the villager. Because that's another thing you have to worry about a lot. And this dude was just being a pain. I tried to spam block him in, but at this point I was so irritated that I couldn't do it right. So this is kind of what I came up with over here. It wasn't, I should say, it wasn't the most attractive build I've ever done. And yeah, of course, as soon as the minecart left the area, that's when he wanted to start heading over there. You really gotta box them in. It was very annoying because they have a mind of their own. They don't want to listen, and it sucks. So what you see me did right there is I just broke his workstation so that he loses that trade, because if they have a workstation, they're gonna try and stay close to it, So once he lost that, it made it a lot easier. And then as soon as he stepped on the track, that's an easy day, you know, because then I can push the rail car through and it's just gonna pick him up. That's how the game mechanic works. And I don't have to worry about them suffocating through those trapdoors there. And once again, you'll see me just aim for the wheel there. It's a little bit finicky, but once again, don't have to worry about punching the villager because look at that. He opts right into the bed. It is super nice. And that main tunnel, by the way, when you have a breeder, that is very, very important. You want at least 2 ways to get in there because villagers will break at least one of them every time. The only mistake I made was not leaving 2 exits. So I've had several occasions where there's a villager that decides to wants to block the exit. And instead of transporting 1 or 2 villagers for the day, I'm left transporting 20 and filling up half my trading hall. But it's all right, that's what a trading hall is for. Um, and to be completely honest, I wasn't actually sure why the Fletcher was pathfinding over to that area. He got in the rail cart pretty easily, but I don't know. He really just seemed to have some sort of affiliation with that area of the trading hall. He had been there the entire time. I don't know if it's because there was a crafting table there, or I don't know. Maybe because there's barrels. I couldn't really tell. But luckily, he listened pretty well. And because he already has a trade, he's not breedable at this point. So that's why we're just gonna go put him next to the mending villager. Um, and just make it easier on ourselves than trying to move him after putting him through the breeder. It's gonna be a lot easier to get him where he's supposed to be. There you go. Now we just got to break the minecart and add the workstation, and we're gonna have a Fletcher good to go. Honestly, I should be using the axe to get that minecart, but it's whatever. And this is a problem. I accidentally faced all the trapdoors the wrong way on this side of the breeder. So as you can see, he's not pushed back far enough to allow me to place down his workstation. So I actually had to build up a little temporary wall and actually get in there myself to push him back. Right there, he was actually pushed back enough, which was just honestly just a lucky break on my end. But I missed it by just a few seconds. You can see me just trying, just hoping that I don't have to go back there because the second you give a villager an opening, it's over. You've given them the advantage. So you have kind of fail safes and figure out a way that no matter what, he's not going to be able to leave. But like I said earlier, lucky this guy was really, really, really good. He was a really simple villager to work with. So this is another good way. Um, this is a less but more effective way of getting them into their spots. Uh, it's a lot easier to suffocate your villagers doing it this way, but it requires no use of minecarts. And if you're wondering why I'm doing it this way in this situation, this guy just was refusing to get in a minecart, and I had a little blockage up at the front of the breeder. It wasn't a lot of fun, so I just decided to go with boats. They take more effort on the other end of things, but they're also simpler in a way. So why not? And here I'm actually trying to set up the um, configuration for a simple like villager roller, but I realized about 5 seconds later that this entire setup is designed to be easy to get the villagers you want. Oh, I was just being stupid. The reason we use walls is I can hit, you know, the workstation through a wall with an axe, break it, and never have to leave where I'm at on the outside. It's kind of hard to explain for someone who's never had to roll villages before, but essentially it's just the act of breaking and replacing the work block until you have the desired trait. Babies. Now, here's a sped up example of me trying to get a certain villager. I think in this specific instance, I was actually going for unbreaking, I believe. As you could probably see in the background, I had gotten a lot of villagers in their place by now, although I hadn't traded with most of them at this point. Mostly, I was just trying to get them into their spots that way, because it was, it was like 3 in the morning at this point. I just wanted to be ready. And what you saw me look back for is I had a few villagers who were being really stubborn and not picking up their trades. So if you just leave them there for a while, they'll normally grab it within half an hour or so. So you just got to keep an eye on them, and then once they grab it once, they'll usually get a lot better at grabbing it again. But as you can see, it's all just luck based. You can get literally any enchantment, and you can get doubles. I could get 3 lure 3s in a row, but I don't use lure 3, so it's pretty useless for me. And as you can see here, that's just standard precaution. And I think both of these guys were the ones who were giving me a bad time, which is why I have the double trapdoor set up over here. Yeah, I was just trying to prevent them from getting out anywhere. And in case you're wondering how I got so many emeralds, trading sticks with Fletchers is really, really useful. It's the only reason I made the tree farm. Yeah, I could use the wood, but honestly, I use it 90% for sticks. And at this point, if you use sticks, you can get a full beacon, stacks of emeralds for like in like few hours, depending on how good of a tree farm you got. Mostly it just depends on how quickly you can get some wood. Needless to say, I am content with life. Anyway, that's going to be all for today's episode, guys. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I'm sorry it's a little bit non-structured. It's not like a normal YouTube video. I did get sick halfway through and then my PC broke, but next episode should be super exciting. Huge base project. I love you guys all so much, and I hope you guys have the best day, night, whatever it is. Much love. And as always, I will see you later.